Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of this interesting podcast that I decided to start. I figured with the current situation that we're all dealing with, it would be quite appropriate to start a podcast where it's much longer videos as opposed to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion videos that I normally make. And I figured this would also be a kind of a good replacement as well. So yes, this video is kind of marking the end of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussions that we typically do, which are much shorter videos, but with a whole podcast it seems to be a bit better because I guess with that you guys could also just listen to this while you're doing your own thing. You don't actually have to have the video turned on, and you could just pretty much listen to a long video where you guys don't have to worry about constantly switching around into another video later on. So this is something I just came up with because, well, I figured I wanted to do this for a while now. I just didn't know when the right time was, and I figured in this particular scenario, people have lost their jobs, people have a bit more free time in their hands. As a result, they kind of want to have some things to do. And with the current quarantine, I do believe that, well, it's not really a belief, but I think a lot of people are definitely finding it difficult to cope with the current situations. So this podcast does seem like a great way for us to stay connected and pretty much talk. Of course, you could feel free to comment down below what your thoughts on things are, but essentially what these podcasts are designed for is that we'll pretty much be talking about any news that comes up, and instead of doing multiple short discussion videos, I'll make it into this podcast instead. So this will be episode 1. I think I'll call it, that's interesting, what should I call this? Maybe I'll call it ReaperCast. That sounds pretty cool, right? I don't know, I mean, you guys will actually see it in the title or the the title of the video. You guys will already know, but I think that's a really good name. So yeah, welcome to episode 1, and for anyone who's actually new to this channel entirely, welcome. This will pretty much be just a big test really, just to see how things go, and definitely leave me some comments, feedback on what you guys think about this, and then I'll probably continue in the future where we could actually expand on the topics we talk about outside of just the news alone. However, for today, we'll just be covering some interesting information. So if you guys want to know what we're talking about, check down in the description box below. I'll leave an index of every single topic we'll cover, along with a timestamp, so you guys could actually just click on it and go right to the topic that we're actually talking about. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin with episode 1. With the current situation on the coronavirus, a lot of people are obviously having difficulties, and that obviously includes us as Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. We definitely are struggling to, I mean, it's a social game. We're meant to be playing with a lot of people, and the fact that we're forced to just stay at home, which I encourage you to do so, of course, it is definitely difficult for some of us to cope in this particular environment. We can't go out anymore, and the best thing we could really do is use Skype to talk about it, but to really play games, or YGO Pro, which the connection isn't particularly amazing, at least on my end here in Australia. But yeah, with this whole particular situation, I do find that this is something that is going to be very difficult for us as Yu-Gi-Oh! Players in particular, because a lot of sets have been, I guess, delayed or postponed, and also events have been cancelled. Now, the very first thing I want to talk about here is Eternity Code has been delayed at least until June, and you know, it was meant to come out in May, but it's been delayed 1 month. So that is kind of unfortunate. However, it is obviously going to, I guess, try to adjust to the current situation. I'm sure this extra time Konami will be spending this particular period to come up with a certain idea or solution or plan as to how to progress with the game. Particularly with the tournaments all cancelled, there has to be another way for us to continue playing or promoting this particular culture of ours, the particular hobby itself. But with that being said, there is this whole concept here about doing these remote duels, which is pretty much just an OCG concept. But essentially, I mean, you guys could see right in the screen if you want to, but it's kind of like a camera being set up over a particular tripod, and you get to pretty much have your deck right in front of you, and it's kind of like showing a bird's eye view for the camera onto your deck or onto your entire field, and you're essentially having that being transmitted so that the opponent can actually see as well, and you could essentially play through a remote version of the game, which is definitely interesting on your screen with a computer that you're using, or the device, whatever you want to call it. You could actually also see the opponent's field as well. So it's kind of an interesting concept to introduce into the game, considering that this might and will be the way we're actually going to be playing tournaments for the next couple of months, maybe even years, but of course we don't know that for sure. However, it's very interesting. What you'll essentially need is a PC, a tablet, or whatever device you need that has a screen, of course, a camera or smartphone, and they'll have a specific app specific for that. And then you'll also have to have a tripod or an arm which sets up this particular camera to view your entire field. So that will definitely be very fun here, and yeah, I definitely do like this idea. Definitely let me know what you guys think about this. I do think that there will be a few issues ahead of time that we have to consider. For example, what if someone off screen tries to switch cards in their decks, in which case there could be a lot of problems with cheating. So that definitely has to be an issue that we can try to resolve here. With dealing with rulings, I think that's not too bad. Maybe it's easier to actually call on a judge during your match, and that is definitely going to help out well. However, through tournaments, we'll definitely have to learn to adapt to this, but overall I do like the idea of where it's progressing. That way we could actually continue to have more tournaments. But speaking of which, with the tournaments, it is confirmed that the World Championship Series of 2020 will pretty much be cancelled. It's meant to be held on August the 22nd to 23rd. Unfortunately, given the current situations, we can't actually have that. And with that being said as well, anyone who actually received an invite for the 2020 WCS will be invited to the 2021 WCS, assuming the current situation we're dealing with right now is resolved. But with that being said, there are obviously stuff like WCQ, the National Championships, are postponed, as well as YCS for Pasadena, I guess, will be postponed as well, which is going to be a sign that the future YCS events that's happening around the rest of the world will also be postponed or potentially cancelled. And we can't really do anything about this. It is kind of unfortunate, of course, but with that being said, we definitely can stick through this, hopefully, and we can always support each other as well. There are plenty of different social networks in this particular period of time, or this particular era that we live in. We could pretty much communicate wherever we are, and it is definitely very fun. It's definitely really versatile, and I definitely like that we have this particular opportunity to do this at a time like this. I mean, imagine how global crises are actually dealt with in the past. I mean, think about without the internet, a lot of people wouldn't have been able to make any social contact, and that would have been insanely crazy. So right now it does seem like things are a bit easier for us to cope with. Of course, some of us do like the whole physical interaction, but for now we do have to adapt, so please stay strong, guys. It is definitely a difficult issue, but I'm sure that if we all work together, we all support each other, we'll get through it. But moving on, let's talk about the 2020 tin. So this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure if there's going to be any delays. I'm not sure if there's going to be a postponage of this. However, it has been confirmed here that it will show the beginning of the ancient duel between the Pharaoh and Priest Seto, as depicted on the Tablet of Lost Memories. So it's kind of like following the theme of the original series, and at this point they've been doing it every single year now. They're trying to push forward the original series, and you know, at this point we kind of just have to expect it every single year. So with that being said, it does say that there are going to be 3 bigger than ever Megapacks, which is very interesting. So each will have 2 more foils than last year's tin Megapacks, and it will also contain a Prismatic Secret, 2 Ultras, 2 Supers, 1 Rare, and 12 Commons. Definitely very exciting, of course, because more opportunities to get some reprints, but at the same time, more holos in a pack, which is definitely going to be very exciting to get. As for the total, they say that there will be 3 prismatic secret rares, so it's definitely going to be very difficult. 6 ultra rares, 6 super rares, 3 rares, and 36 commons. So that's in the situation that you'll typically buy 1 tin. That's what you'll get, and getting a prismatic secret is definitely going to be very nice here. Of course, the value of these particular ones won't be as high, given that we're expecting it in every single pack. But with that being said, it's the most popular cards released from 2019, so we're talking Savage Strike, Dark Neostorm, Rising Rampage, Chaos Impact, and a few more, which I assume are from a few side sets as well, which will definitely be very nice. Aside from that, we're also getting 3 brand new World Premiere cards. We have here Red Eyes Dragoon, very nice card of course. We're also getting a fusion of Yugi's Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, which was that odd fusion monster which allowed people to pretty much play Dark Magician and Red Eyes in the same deck. So yeah, definitely very interesting, very fun. Surprising to see that it's been given out in a tin. I mean, that's pretty quick considering it was a world premiere card not too long ago. Now what's interesting is that once you've emptied out the goodness of within, you could actually display the tin as if it's part of a Yu-Gi-Oh history in the dueling space. Now it says it's part of an important scene. My guess here is, we don't have any pictures, so you don't have to actually look at your screen here, but my guess as to how the tin will be designed is it's going to look like the stone tablet depicting I guess the Pharaoh versus Priest Seto. So that's definitely going to be very interesting indeed to see how it would actually look, because you know, a tablet is meant to be, it's not necessarily a square or rectangle. It's meant to be, well, it has the corners down the bottom, but around the top end it's more rounded. So I do wonder as to how they're actually going to be designing the tin. That being said, I'm looking forward to this. Definitely let me know what you guys think about this. And for the reprints, I'm very excited. Savage Strike will have a chance for us to pull Pot of Extravagance, which will definitely be very important here for a lot of people, because the card is still definitely very expensive. However, with that being said, now let's actually move on to a lot of the newer cards that are actually being announced. So the first card I want to talk about here is Adamancipator Friends. So this is a card that's coming out in Rise of the Duelist to support the Adamancipator cards. For the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except rock monsters. Also, excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of rock monsters you control plus 5. And if you do, you can add to your hand one excavated rock monster whose level is equal or lower than the number of cards excavated. Also, place the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. Definitely nice, just gives you a great way to search for whatever card you need, and while it doesn't seem as amazing as specific searcher cards, this is, keep in mind, generic, which means it could work in any deck, and being able to see up to 5 cards or more, just to pick whichever one you want, given it's meant to be for rock decks. But even so, that's very broad. You have Quakimeru, you have the Megaliths, and of course you have the Adamancipator as well. So definitely great range of decks you could actually utilize this in, and I definitely like this card. It's not going to be a really crazy card. If anything, I see this card being a common or rare, but even so, it is definitely going to be very nice for rock decks in general. Alright, so next I want to talk about the Collector's Pack 2020. This is definitely something that I'm most excited for, simply because of the cards we're actually getting in this, particularly the fossil cards. These cards, or these particular archetypes, will be adapted into a special set, kind of similar to Destiny Soldiers, kind of similar to Secret Slayers. That is, I think it's out already, but I'll have to check on that. But yeah, these particular ones, 3 particular archetypes. However, for today we'll be focusing on the fossil archetype. Now, if you guys don't remember the fossil archetype, this was actually played by Jim Crocodile in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series. A lot of people definitely were excited about this. I'm sure all of you are also excited about this, because this was something that it was just such a cool archetype in time, and it was a disappointment, or it was just a shame that we couldn't actually get any access to the cards. It was never printed in any sets, so definitely unfortunate in that regard. However, we finally have a lot of these cards here available for us in this particular new set, so let's go over a few of these cards. The first card we have here is Weathering Soldier. It's actually a Tag Force card called Efflorescent Knight. Level 4 Earth Rock effect monster, 2000 attack, 1200 defense. First effects can only be used once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, or if this card is destroyed by battle, you can add from your deck to your hand either one Fossil Fusion or one card that specifically lists Fossil Fusion in its text, except Weathering Soldier. So definitely very nice here. Works with the fusion, allowing you to recycle and add back your Fossil Fusion. And second effect, once per turn during your end phase, this card loses 600 attack, which is not really a big deal. It's mostly going to be used as a material. Now, speaking of materials, we have here a fusion monster. So we have here Mesozoic Fossil Knight Skull Knight. Definitely a very weird word choice here. Level 6 Earth Rock Fusion effect monster, 2400 attack, 1100 defense. Requires 1 rock monster plus 1 level 5 or 6 monster. Must be fusion summoned with Fossil Fusion. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. So first effect, if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. Second effect, when this attacking card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate this effect. This card can attack once again in a row. Third effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one monster on the field, destroy that monster. That is very amazing. All 3 effects of this particular card is definitely very, very handy, very good, very versatile. The only problem is really it's a 2400 beat stick, so it's not going to be too strong. However, I do believe that if you use a few cards to boost up the attack of this, it could become a very effective and very amazing card. I mean, I could easily see myself playing 2 or 3 of these in the deck itself. Moving on here, we actually have this weird level 4 Earth Rock Fusion effect monster. I say weird because it's a fusion monster. You would expect it to be a boss monster, instead it's a level 4 monster. Now it's called Cenozoic Fossil Knight Skull Pawn. Attack is 2000, 800 defense, requires 1 rock monster plus 1 level 4 lower monster. must first be special summoned with Fossil Fusion, and the second effect can only be used once per turn. First effect, this can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, and second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 time stream from your deck to your hand. We'll definitely have to find out what time stream actually does, but for now, it is still going to act as a searcher and a nice beat stick for the deck. For the third fusion, we have, it looks like a boss monster here, so it's a level 8 Earth Rock Fusion effect monster, Paleozoic Fossil Dragon Skalgios. Attack is 3500, however defense is only 0. Requires a rock monster plus 1 level 7 or higher monster in your opponent's graveyard, so that's going to be very interesting as to how we're actually going to be utilizing this, given I haven't actually read up on Fossil Fusion, so we're going to have to wait until we get there. For now, first effect, if this card battles an opponent's monster before damage calculation, you could switch the current attack and defense of that opponent's monster until the end of the damage step. Second effect, if this card attacks the defense position monster, inflict piercing. Very nice considering its 3500 attack. Third effect, double any battle damage that your opponent takes from battles involving their monster and this fusion summon card. Wow, that is really nice. Alright, that's awesome, I love it. As a boss monster, it's perfect. For the final boss monster, or the final fusion monster, we have a level 4 Earth Rock Fusion effect monster, Cenozoic Fossil Dragon Skalgar. 2500 attack and 0 defense. For level 4 fusion, that is definitely really amazing stats. Requires 1 rock monster and 1 level 4 lower monster in your opponent's graveyard, wow. Must first be special summoned with Fossil Fusion. Second effect can only be used once per turn. First effect, if it does piercing damage, that's amazing. Second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and add a Fossil Fusion from your deck. Wow, I really like this deck already. I mean, it seems like it's synergetic, it seems consistent. Let's hope that's the case during gameplay, but for now, I really do love the effects of all these cards. Alright, so we mentioned this earlier, we have our first spell, and that is Time Stream. So, 2 effects. First effect, target 1 Fossil Fusion monster you control, tribute that monster, and if you do, special summon from your extra deck 1 Fossil Fusion monster that is 2 levels higher than the tributed monster's original level. And this is treated as a fusion summon with Fossil Fusion. So, very nice, very interesting to send off your fusion monsters. As you guys remember, just a while back, we did talk about how each of their effects have graveyard effects, where they could banish themselves from the graveyard to activate it. So it is definitely very versatile in this particular card itself as to progress your actual plays. Second effect, during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you could banish both this card and 1 Fossil Fusion monster from your graveyard, then target 1 Fossil Fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. That might seem a bit confusing because it sounds like it's repetitive, but it does make sense. I mean, you're just banishing this with a fusion, and then you target a different fusion, special summon it. Very simple, very nice that we even get 2 effects on this in the first place. The first effect alone would have been enough for the card. The second effect alone could have been enough for the card as well. But to have both of them, I can't complain about that. Moving on, we have here Specimen Inspection, another normal spell card. So you reveal 1 Fossil Fusion in your hand, send 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard. If you do, declare 1 monster type and level. If you do that, your opponent sends 1 monster of the declared type and level from their hand to the graveyard. I mean, that is odd, but I guess if you could assume what hand traps your opponent is playing, you could definitely guess and get rid of their cards. However, this card does seem a bit more iffy, seems a bit more of a gimmick for the deck. Yes, it doesn't really seem too amazing, but I guess if you could pull it off, it would be quite good. Not only to get rid of the cards in your opponent's hand, but also to send their cards to the graveyard for you to use as a fusion material. As for the final card, we have Miracle Rupture, another normal spell card. Send one level 4 lower rock monster from your deck to your graveyard, then if Fossil Fusion is in your graveyard, you could also draw a card. Very nice, of course, pretty much allows you to, it's like a Foolish Burial, however you get the addition to also draw a card, and I think that's definitely very nice. You could actually see on the card artwork of this card, it's actually Giant Soldier of Stone, so is this actually a hint that maybe we could actually just play it in the deck? Just because of this particular artwork alone, I might just play one copy of Giant Soldier of Stone in this deck once it comes out. However, that being said, it is definitely a very interesting archetype, and I'm very much so looking forward to this when it comes out. Alright, so for the final topic we're going to talk about here is actually the new Arc 5 cards that we're actually getting in the same pack, the Collector's Pack 2020. And there's just a few new cards that's actually supporting different archetypes, and I thought it would be interesting to also go over these. So the first card here is Flower Cardian Cherry Blossom. Very old deck that, I mean, not that old, but still from Arc 5 era, that is definitely something that is going to be kind of like a nice memory run. And it's definitely nice that we're actually getting one card to support that particular deck. It's a level 3 Dark Warrior effect monster, 100 attack and defense. If you control level 2 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Flower Cardian monsters. Once per turn, you contribute one Flower Cardian monster, draw one card, and if you do, show it. Then, if it is a Flower Cardian monster, you could take one Flower Cardian monster from your deck, accept itself, and either add it to your hand or special summon it. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. Very nice, improves the consistency of the deck. I do like this card, and the whole deck itself is meant to be a pure deck. You're not playing any spells at all, except for a few of the support spells. But even then, the whole deck is mainly just Flower Cardian monsters, so this card could really not only improve the consistency, but also improve the synergy as well. Moving on, we also have an additional supporting spell card, so this is called Super All In. A normal spell card, return one Synchro monster you control to the extra deck. If you do, special summon 4 Flower Cardian monsters from your graveyard, then draw one card from your deck. And if you do, reveal it. If it is a Flower Cardian monster, you could special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. Otherwise, destroy as many monsters you control as possible, and if you do, half your life points. Wow, that's a bit of a detrimental effect there. But even so, like I said, the whole deck is meant to be all Flower Cardian monsters, so this card could still work well. Second effect, once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there by a Flower Cardian monster effect this turn, you could add one spell trap from your graveyard to your hand. Obviously that applies to mostly the other Flower Cardian support cards. Moving on, we have Glacial Beast Blizzard Wolf, level 4 Water Aqua effect monster, 1400 attack, 700 defense. Both the first and second effects can only be used once per turn. When a monster declares an attack, you can negate the attack. If you do, special summon a level 4 lower water monster from your hand, except itself. Second effect, at the start of your opponent's battle phase, if you control no monsters and this card is in your graveyard, you could special summon this card in attack position, but banish it if it leaves the field, which I think this will definitely work in it's meant to be an Xyz type of deck, and given that this is Blizzard, it reminds me of Rio from the Zexal series. So if you guys remember, Shark had a sister and her name was Rio, and she essentially played a Blizzard deck, which I believe this should be the support for her deck. So definitely a long time, a long wait, not as long as the fossil cards, but even so, it is definitely something that, while it's not particularly amazing, we can all definitely look forward to these cards and build the deck of definitely a beloved character from the Zexal series. Moving on, we have here Glacial Beast Polar Penguin, another card for the Glacial or Glacial or Blizzard deck. Level 3 Water Aqua Tuna effect monster, 800 attack, 1000 defense. first and second effects only used once per turn. So first effect, if this card is special summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls and bounce it. Second effect, if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one card your opponent controls and bounce it. Very nice given the bit of small versatility it has, but even so, I expect it to be used as either a synchro material since it's a tuner, or it could be used as an Xyz material as well. For the final card we have Glacial Beast Icework Narwhal. So level 7 water aqua synchro effect monster, 2700 attack, 1600 defense, requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner water monster. So kind of generic, but you just need a water monster. I mean, I could see myself playing this in Mermails, I could see myself playing this in Necros, or whatever water decks that's actually out there. The second effects can only be used once per turn. So first effect, each time another monsters you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster, or by an opponent's card effects, inflicts 600 damage to your opponent. Pretty small amounts, but I think if it stacks up, you could create some kind of OTK or FTK loop. Second effect, during the battle phase, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control another monster, as a quick effect, you can negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Very nice, I love that. For a boss monster, that is definitely something that is expected, and while this is not going to be forming a major archetype, it is definitely something that I would be excited to try out, even if it doesn't really perform too well. However, with that being said, that pretty much concludes the first episode of the ReaperCast, as I'll call it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Definitely let me know what you guys think about these cards. Please also leave some feedback as to whether or not you enjoyed this. And if you did enjoy this, then definitely leave some suggestions as to what kind of topics you want me to cover as well in the next episode. But in the meantime, I do hope that you guys stay home, stay safe, and definitely seek support from anyone you can. I am also opening up a small network here where I'm getting a bit more involved, so if you guys want to actually talk to me, then feel free to. I'll be utilizing the YouTube channel discussion section, and I honestly should have used it a lot longer ago, but I guess, you know, now's a better time than any, so I will be posting a few discussions there and we could always talk there. Otherwise, I also have a Facebook page, I also have a Twitter, so the links will be in the description down below. Definitely follow me on Twitter and like my Facebook page, because with those two you could actually also just private message me and we could always just have a conversation with each other, and that way we could always stay socialized and we won't actually be driven mad by these particular quarantine conditions. However, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.